The warning in the vast expanse of the galaxy, the Galactic Empire stood as a symbol of power and dominance. Their ships, sleek and formidable, patrolled the space lanes, while their planets thrived under strict control and advanced technology. For centuries, the Empire had encountered many species, but none had ever challenged their might. They were accustomed to being the strongest force in the galaxy. One day, a strange signal reached the Empire's central command. It was a message from a distant star system, one that had never been explored or even mapped by the Empire's scouts. The message was simple yet perplexing. It contained just one word: run. The Galactic Empire's leaders gathered in their Grand Council chamber. High-ranking generals and influential politicians filled the room, their faces illuminated by the holographic display of the galaxy. They listened with a mix of curiosity and amusement as the signal was played again. The message was brief and unadorned, but it carried an undeniable urgency. General Rax, a grizzled veteran known for his strategic brilliance, leaned forward. "This message, it's from a species we've never encountered. They're warning us to run. It's either a joke or an attempt at intimidation." Chancellor Voltra, the Empire's top political leader, waved a dismissive hand. "Run? From what? We control this galaxy. No species has ever posed a real threat to us. This message is clearly an attempt to unsettle us." The other leaders nodded in agreement. They had faced countless threats over the years, from rebellious planets to hostile aliens, but none had ever been more than a minor inconvenience. To them, this new message was no different. "Send a reconnaissance team to investigate the source of this message," ordered General Rax. "We need to know if there's any real threat or if this is just a prank." As the orders were given, the Empire's advanced ships prepared for the journey. The reconnaissance team was equipped with the latest technology, ready to assess any potential danger. They left for the distant star system, where the message had originated. Back on the Empire's homeworld, the message continued to be the subject of debate. Some believed it was a ruse to lure them into a trap. Others thought it might be a test of their security. Whatever the reason, it was clear that the Galactic Empire's leaders were not taking it seriously. The reconnaissance team arrived at the edge of the star system. The stars were dim and the planets were shrouded in darkness. The team scanned the area with their advanced sensors, searching for any signs of civilization or threat. They found nothing unusual: no fleets, no weapons, no advanced technology. Just as they were about to report back, a small, unassuming spacecraft appeared on their sensors. It was unlike anything the Empire had ever seen. The ship was old and battered, but it carried a message. A human envoy stepped out, dressed in simple clothing, with an air of quiet confidence. The human spoke with calm authority. "I am here to deliver a message from humanity. We have warned you to run. It is not a threat, but a precaution. We are not here to negotiate or to fight. We are simply letting you know that there are forces at play that you do not understand." The envoy's words were clear, but they were met with skepticism. The Empire's scouts recorded the message and relayed it back to the Central Command. The leaders listened to the transmission with growing disbelief. "Look at this," General Rax exclaimed. "A single human envoy. This is hardly a show of strength. There's no fleet, no weapons, nothing to indicate a real threat." Chancellor Voltra leaned back in his chair, smiling. "If this is their idea of a warning, they are sorely mistaken. We have dealt with far more dangerous situations. This is nothing more than a minor annoyance." The message was analyzed by the Empire's top scientists and military strategists. They found no reason to believe that humanity posed a genuine threat. The technology they had seen was rudimentary compared to what the Empire possessed. The Galactic Empire's leaders decided to dismiss the warning. They issued a brief statement to their citizens, reassuring them that there was no cause for concern. Life went on as usual, with the Empire continuing its operations and expanding its reach. Meanwhile, the human envoy returned to their ship, knowing that their message had been ignored. They understood the risks involved in sending such a warning, but their mission was clear. They had done their part to alert the Galactic Empire of a potential danger. The envoy's ship departed the star system, leaving behind only the faint echo of their warning. The Galactic Empire, secure in its belief of invincibility, continued its path of dominance, unaware of the forces that lay ahead. As the Empire's leaders went about their daily routines, the universe continued to turn. Little did they know. The warning they had dismissed so easily was a harbinger of a challenge that would soon test their supremacy. For now, the Empire remained oblivious, content in their assumption that no one could ever truly threaten their rule. And so, the first part of this story ended with the Empire's dismissal of the human warning. But as history would show, underestimating an opponent could often lead to unforeseen consequences. The Galactic Empire's complacency would soon be put to the ultimate test: underestimating humans. After the strange warning from the human envoy, the Galactic Empire's leaders went about their daily lives with little concern. The message had been received, analyzed, and quickly dismissed. To the Empire, it was nothing more than an odd curiosity, not a genuine threat. On the planet of Epsilon Prime, the heart of the Galactic Empire, life continued as usual. Massive cities bustled with activity, and advanced technology powered every aspect of daily life. The Empire's military forces, well-trained and equipped with the finest weapons and ships, were confident in their ability to handle any situation. They had faced many challenges before and had always emerged victorious. This new warning, they believed, was no different. General Rax, the Empire's most esteemed strategist, gathered his staff for a routine briefing. The holographic display in the center of the room showed the galaxy's current map, with various star systems and fleets marked. Rax looked at his team, a mix of seasoned officers and young cadets. "Today we continue our expansion efforts," Rax announced, his voice steady and commanding. "Our scouts report no significant threats from the region where the human envoy came from. We have nothing to worry about." One of the younger officers, Lieutenant Kor, raised a hand. "General, should we not investigate further? The human envoy seemed very serious, and we've received reports of their technology being more advanced than anticipated." Rax waved a hand dismissively. "Let's not be swayed by minor details. We have faced far greater threats and overcome them with ease. If humans had something to show, we would have seen it by now." In another part of the Empire, on the planet of Tarsus, the military was conducting routine drills. Soldiers trained with their standard-issue weapons and ships, preparing for typical combat scenarios. The message from the human envoy was mentioned briefly in training sessions, mostly as a curiosity. The soldiers were more focused on their regular exercises and drills. Private Arin, a young and enthusiastic recruit, overheard a conversation between two senior officers. "They're calling us to run," one officer said with a chuckle. "From what? A single envoy? It's a joke. We're the Galactic Empire. No one can touch us." Arin, curious and slightly concerned, asked his sergeant, "Do you really think they're a threat?" The sergeant laughed. "Don't worry about it. The Empire has fought against countless enemies, and we've always come out on top. This is nothing but a minor distraction." Back in the Central Command, the Empire's scientists analyzed the technology they had observed from the human envoy. They found nothing out of the ordinary. The humans' technology appeared outdated compared to the Empire's advanced systems. There were no signs of weaponry or capabilities that would suggest a serious threat. The scientists' report confirmed what the Empire's leaders had already believed: the humans were not a significant danger. The Empire's technology far surpassed anything the humans had shown. As weeks passed, the Galactic Empire continued with its plans without any changes. The message from the human envoy was soon forgotten, replaced by other matters of state. The Empire expanded its reach, exploring new star systems and establishing new colonies. On the fringes of the galaxy, the human forces watched from a distance. They had seen the Empire's reaction and were aware of how their warning had been dismissed. The humans knew they needed to be patient. Their true strength was not yet revealed, but they were preparing for the right moment. The Empire's confidence grew with each passing day. Their military drills continued, their fleets patrolled the galaxy, and their technology advanced. They were sure that nothing could shake their dominance. In the Empire's view, the human warning was nothing more than an inconvenience. They were secure in their belief that their power was unmatched, and they had little reason to suspect otherwise. Their leaders continued to enjoy their status, unaware that their complacency might soon lead to unexpected consequences. Meanwhile, on the human side, plans were being set in motion. The humans were not idle. They had been preparing for this moment, knowing that the Empire's overconfidence could be their greatest advantage. They understood that to face such a powerful foe, they needed to be smart and strategic. The Empire's dismissal of the human warning seemed to confirm their belief in their own invincibility. They were focused on their goals, unconcerned by the distant message. But as history has shown, underestimating an opponent can be a fatal mistake. The Galactic Empire's leaders continued their daily routines, confident in their control over the galaxy. They expanded their reach and pursued their objectives with no thought of the warning they had received. For them, the human message was a forgotten blip in their otherwise successful reign. The human forces, on the other hand, were watching and waiting. They knew that their time would come. The Galactic Empire's overconfidence was a weakness they intended to exploit. And as the days went by, the humans prepared for the moment when their true power would be revealed. For now, the Galactic Empire enjoyed its reign, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing on the horizon. Their dismissal of the human warning would soon prove to be a critical oversight, one that would challenge their dominance and test their strength like never before. First encounter, the Galactic Empire's leaders were confident as they continued their plans for expansion. The warning from the human envoy had long been forgotten, dismissed as a mere inconvenience. They had no idea that their next encounter would challenge their belief in their invincibility. Far from the Empire's core worlds, in a remote part of the galaxy, human ships gathered in secrecy. The humans had been preparing for this moment, knowing they needed to strike when the Empire was least expecting it. Their ships, although not as sleek as the Empire's, were equipped with advanced technology that would soon prove its worth. On a quiet morning, the Empire's patrol ships were conducting routine scans of the nearby star systems. They were tasked with ensuring that no unauthorized ships or anomalies were present. It was a standard mission, and the Empire's officers were relaxed, expecting no trouble. Lieutenant Kor, a young and keen officer, was on duty that day. As he monitored the sensors, something unusual caught his attention. A small group of ships appeared on the edge of their sensors. They were not registered with the Empire and did not match any known designs. "Sir, we have an unknown fleet approaching," Kor reported to his superior, Commander Rax. "The ships are small, but they seem to be moving in formation." Rax looked at the display and frowned. "Unknown fleet? This must be a mistake. Let's check it out. They're probably smugglers or a small group of pirates." The patrol ships changed course to investigate. As they approached, the mysterious fleet came into clearer view. The human ships were indeed small compared to the Empire's vessels, but they had a distinct design and an aura of purpose. The humans had set a trap. As the Empire's ships neared, they activated their hidden weapons and defense systems. The Empire's patrol ships were caught off guard when the human ships fired the first shots. The battle began with a sudden burst of energy and firepower. Commander Rax was stunned. "What are those weapons?" "They're unlike anything we've seen before." The human ship's energy blasts were precise and powerful, hitting their targets with unexpected accuracy. The Empire's patrol ships returned fire, but the human ships were quick and agile. They maneuvered around the Empire's attacks, using their smaller size and superior technology to their advantage. The battle was intense, and the Empire's ships found themselves struggling to keep up. Lieutenant Kor's ship took direct hits, and alarms blared as the crew scrambled to respond. "We're taking heavy damage!" Kor shouted. "They're too fast for us!" The battle raged on, with the Empire's ships suffering from the surprise attack. The human fleet was well coordinated, using tactics that the Empire had not anticipated. They focused on disabling the Empire's ships rather than destroying them outright, demonstrating a strategic depth that was new to the Empire. As the fight continued, Commander Rax realized that the human fleet was not just a small group of pirates. They were a well-organized force with advanced technology. The Empire's ships began to fall back, and the humans pressed their advantage. The battle ended with the Empire's patrol ships retreating. They had taken heavy losses and were forced to withdraw from the area. The human ships, while not without damage, had achieved a decisive victory. Back at the Central Command, the news of the encounter spread quickly. The Empire's leaders gathered to assess the situation. General Rax and his staff were somber as they reviewed the battle reports. This was no ordinary attack, Rax said, his voice filled with concern. The humans have technology and tactics we were not prepared for. This is more than just a minor threat. Chancellor Voltra, who had once dismissed the human warning, looked worried. We underestimated them. Their ships were small, but their weapons and strategies were effective. We need to rethink our approach. The Empire's scientists and engineers were called in to analyze the captured data from the battle. They studied the human technology, trying to understand how it worked and how to counter it. The Empire's confidence was shaken, and they began to realize that they had been wrong to ignore the human warning. The human fleet, victorious and confident, returned to its base. The humans celebrated their success, knowing that this first encounter had proven their capabilities. They had shown the Empire that they were a force to be reckoned with, and their preparation had paid off. In the following days, the Galactic Empire made plans to strengthen their defenses and adapt their strategies. They understood now that the human threat was real and serious. The battle had changed their perception of the humans, and they were no longer dismissing them as insignificant. As the Empire prepared for the next phase of the conflict, the humans continued their operations, ready to take advantage of the Empire's weakened state. The first encounter had set the stage for a larger struggle, and both sides knew that the battle was far from over. The Galactic Empire's overconfidence had been shattered, and the humans had shown their strength. The stage was now set for a conflict that would challenge the Empire's dominance and test their ability to respond to a true threat. The first encounter was just the beginning. The humans had proven that they were not to be underestimated, and the Galactic Empire would have to adapt quickly to the new reality of this emerging conflict. Escalation. The unexpected defeat in their first encounter with the humans shook the Galactic Empire to its core. For the first time in decades, they faced a challenge that made them question their own superiority. The Empire's leaders realized they could no longer dismiss the humans as a minor threat. The situation demanded immediate action and a strategic overhaul. General Rax convened an emergency meeting with the top military leaders and strategists. The room was tense as the holographic display showed the recent battle's aftermath. The Empire's ships were heavily damaged, and their retreat had been marked as a significant failure. We cannot afford to underestimate these humans any longer, Rax said firmly. Their technology and tactics have proven to be a serious threat. We need to escalate our response and prepare for a full-scale engagement. Chancellor Voltra, who had previously dismissed the human threat, now faced a growing sense of urgency. What are our options? We need to show that we are not just a paper tiger. We must demonstrate our strength and ensure our dominance. The Empire's leaders decided to deploy additional forces to the region where the first battle had taken place. They planned to send more advanced ships and a larger fleet to confront the humans directly. The goal was to overwhelm them with sheer power and force a decisive victory. Meanwhile, the human fleet was not resting on its laurels. They were aware that the Empire would not take their defeat lightly. The humans used the time after their victory to regroup and strengthen their own defenses. They continued to develop new strategies and technologies, preparing for the inevitable retaliation. Captain Elena Hart, one of the human fleet's leaders, was overseeing the preparations. She reviewed the latest intelligence and technology reports, ensuring that her fleet was ready for the Empire's next move. We've proven our strength, but we need to be ready for their full-scale response, she said to her crew. Let's make sure we have every advantage we can. The Empire's new fleet, a massive armada of battleships and destroyers, set out toward the contested region. The ships were equipped with the latest weaponry and reinforced with advanced armor. The Empire's military was determined to reclaim its authority and crush the human threat once and for all. As the Empire's fleet approached, they deployed reconnaissance probes to gather information on the human positions. The probes revealed that the humans had fortified their defenses and were ready for another confrontation. The Empire's intelligence confirmed that the human fleet was preparing for battle. The two fleets met in a desolate part of space, far from any inhabited planets. The stage was set for a larger and more intense conflict. The Empire's ships moved into position, their weapons primed and ready. The humans, equally prepared, took their positions and prepared to defend their territory. The battle began with a series of powerful exchanges. The Empire's fleet unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, targeting the human ships with precision. The humans responded with equally fierce counterattacks, using their advanced technology to evade and retaliate. The clash of forces created a spectacle of light and sound, echoing through the void. Despite the Empire's overwhelming numbers, the human fleet's agility and tactics allowed them to hold their ground. The humans used hit-and-run strategies, striking quickly and then retreating before the Empire's ships could fully respond. The battle was fierce and dynamic, with both sides suffering losses and making tactical adjustments. Captain Hart coordinated her fleet with skill, managing to keep the human ships in effective formations and utilizing their advanced technology to their advantage. The human forces fought with determination, knowing that their survival depended on their ability to withstand the Empire's assault. The Empire's leaders watched the battle unfold with growing frustration. Their initial confidence was being tested by the humans' resilience and strategic prowess. General Rax realized that the humans were not only a formidable foe, but also skilled in adapting to the Empire's tactics. As the battle raged on, the Empire's command issued a new strategy. They decided to use their most powerful weaponry, deploying a massive energy cannon designed to break through any defense. The Empire's fleet prepared for a final, decisive assault. The human fleet, aware of the Empire's new strategy, braced for the upcoming challenge. They deployed their own countermeasures, using defensive shields and energy dampeners to protect their ships. The battle entered a critical phase as both sides prepared for a clash that would determine the outcome of the conflict. The Empire's energy cannon fired, creating a massive beam of energy that streaked across space toward the human fleet. The humans deployed their defenses, but the beam was powerful and relentless. It struck one of the human ships, causing a massive explosion. Despite the loss, the human fleet pressed on, using the remaining ships to counter the Empire's assault. The battle continued with renewed intensity, each side determined to secure victory. The conflict had escalated to a point where both sides were fully committed to winning at any cost. In the end, the battle did not have a clear victor. Both fleets suffered heavy damage and the fighting eventually reached a stalemate. The Empire's fleet withdrew to regroup and reassess their strategy, while the human fleet remained vigilant, prepared for the next confrontation. The escalation of the conflict had shown that the battle between the Empire and the humans was far from over. Both sides were now fully engaged in a struggle that would test their strength, resolve, and strategic capabilities. The galaxy watched as the two forces prepared for the next phase of their epic struggle. The first encounter had been just the beginning. The escalation of the conflict marked a turning point, setting the stage for a prolonged and intense struggle between the Galactic Empire and humanity. The outcome of this clash would shape the future of the galaxy and determine the balance of power. Turning point. The battle between the Galactic Empire and the human fleet had reached a critical juncture. Both sides had suffered significant losses and the conflict seemed to be at a stalemate. The Empire's leadership was growing increasingly frustrated, while the humans, though battered, remained resolute. In the heart of the Galactic Empire's command center, General Rax and Chancellor Voltra convened an urgent meeting. They were discussing the next steps in their campaign against the humans. The recent battles had shown that their usual strategies were not working against this new foe. "We need to change our approach," Rax said, frustration evident in his voice. "The humans are more resourceful than we anticipated. We must find a way to break their resolve and gain the upper hand." Chancellor Voltra nodded in agreement. "Our latest intelligence suggests that the humans have been working on new technology and strategies. We need to find a way to counter their advancements. If we don't, we risk losing more than just battles. We risk losing our dominance." At the same time, Captain Elena Hart of the human fleet was reviewing the latest reports from the front lines. The humans had sustained heavy damage in the recent engagements, but they had managed to hold their ground. The resilience of her crew and the effectiveness of their new tactics had kept the Empire from achieving a decisive victory. "We've been holding them off, but we can't afford to stay on the defensive," Hart said to her officers. "We need to take the fight to them and show that we're capable of turning the tide in our favor. Let's put our new technology to the test and strike where they least expect it." The human engineers had developed a new type of weapon, a high-energy disruptor capable of penetrating the Empire's advanced shields. This new weapon was a closely guarded secret, and its deployment could provide the turning point needed to shift the balance of power. The humans planned a bold operation. Their goal was to infiltrate the Empire's outer defenses and strike at a crucial supply depot. This depot was vital for the Empire's ongoing campaign, and its destruction would severely disrupt their operations. Under the cover of darkness, the human fleet launched a covert mission. Their ships, equipped with stealth technology, slipped past the Empire's outer patrols and approached the supply depot. The operation was timed to coincide with a scheduled maintenance period when the depot's defenses would be less vigilant. As the human ships neared their target, the crew prepared for the assault. Captain Hart's voice crackled over the intercom. "Prepare to deploy the disruptors. We have one chance to make this work. If we succeed, we can cripple their supply lines and shift the momentum of this conflict." The attack began with a precision strike. The human disruptors fired, and the energy beams cut through the Empire's defenses with startling efficiency. The supply depot's shields were overwhelmed, and explosions rocked the facility. The Empire's personnel scrambled to respond, but the damage was extensive. The surprise attack was a resounding success. The supply depot was destroyed, and the Empire's ability to sustain their operations in the region was severely impaired. The humans had struck a significant blow, and the results were felt across the galaxy. Back at the Empire's central command, General Rax and Chancellor Voltra were in shock. The destruction of the supply depot was a major setback, and it became clear that the humans had more capabilities than they had previously understood. "This is a serious problem," Rax said, pacing the room. "We underestimated their ability to strike at our most vital assets. We need to reassess our strategy and find a way to counter their new technology." Chancellor Voltra agreed. "We need to adapt quickly. If the humans continue to make gains like this, they could tip the balance of power in their favor. We must find a way to neutralize their new weapons and regain our advantage." The turning point in the conflict had shifted the dynamics between the Galactic Empire and the humans. The Empire was now on the defensive, forced to respond to the new threat posed by the humans' advanced technology and tactical ingenuity. Captain Hart and her crew, buoyed by their success, continued their campaign with renewed vigor. The destruction of the supply depot had not only weakened the Empire's logistics, but also boosted the morale of the human forces. They knew that their fight was far from over, but they were now more confident in their ability to challenge the Empire's dominance. The Galactic Empire's leadership recognized the need for a decisive response. They began to develop countermeasures to neutralize the human disruptors and bolster their own defenses. The conflict was far from over, and both sides knew that the next phase would be critical in determining the outcome of their struggle. As the war continued, the turning point marked a shift in the balance of power. The humans had proven their ability to inflict significant damage on the Empire, and the Empire was now forced to confront the reality of a prolonged and challenging conflict. The stage was set for a new phase of the war, one that would test both sides' resolve and strategic capabilities. The destruction of the supply depot was more than just a tactical victory. It was a symbol of the changing dynamics of the conflict. The humans had shown that they were a force to be reckoned with, and the Galactic Empire was now faced with the task of adapting to a new and formidable challenge. The retreat. The Galactic Empire's command center was in chaos. The recent destruction of the supply depot by the human fleet had sent shockwaves through the Empire's military leadership. General Rax and Chancellor Voltra faced mounting pressure to address the sudden shift in the conflict's dynamics. "We've suffered a major blow," General Rax said, frustration evident in his voice. "The loss of the supply depot has disrupted our operations. We need to rethink our strategy and address this threat before it escalates further." Chancellor Voltra nodded, her expression grave. "We can't afford to ignore the humans any longer. Their recent successes have shown that they are a serious threat. We need to prepare for a possible retreat and reassess our position. The Empire's leadership decided to fall back from the contested region to regroup and consolidate their forces. The retreat was a difficult decision, but they recognized that continuing the fight under their current conditions would only lead to further losses. The withdrawal was a complex operation. The Empire's fleet had to coordinate the movement of numerous ships while ensuring that their retreat was orderly and secure. The Empire's forces began to withdraw from the region, moving towards safer, more fortified positions. Meanwhile, Captain Elena Hart of the human fleet was aware of the Empire's retreat. The destruction of the supply depot had dealt a significant blow to the Empire's morale and logistics. The humans were now in a position to press their advantage, but Hart knew that the Empire's retreat was not a sign of surrender. It was a tactical move to regroup and prepare for a counterattack. "The Empire is retreating," Hart said to her officers. "This is an opportunity for us to push forward and make further gains. We need to be cautious, though. The Empire won't back down easily, and they're likely to regroup and counter our advances." The human fleet began to advance into the recently vacated territory. They worked quickly to establish control over the region and secure any strategic positions left behind by the retreating Empire. The humans set up new defensive positions and began to fortify their hold on the area. The retreating Empire fleet moved with precision, coordinating their movements to avoid any potential ambushes. Their goal was to reach a heavily fortified sector where they could regroup and prepare for the next phase of the conflict. The Empire's engineers and logistics teams worked tirelessly to repair and resupply their ships. In the midst of the retreat, General Rax and Chancellor Voltra held a strategic meeting. The retreat had been a necessary move, but it was not without its costs. The loss of the supply depot and the temporary setback had shaken the Empire's confidence. "We must turn this setback into an advantage," Rax said. "We need to analyze what went wrong and develop new strategies to counter the humans. We cannot afford to let them gain any more ground." Chancellor Voltra agreed. "We need to reinforce our positions and ensure that our next move is decisive. The humans have proven their capability, and we must adapt our tactics to respond effectively." As the Empire's forces regrouped, they began to implement new countermeasures. The Empire's scientists and engineers worked on developing improved defenses and counteracting the human disruptors that had caused so much damage. The Empire's strategy shifted towards a more cautious and defensive posture, focusing on rebuilding their strength and preparing for the next engagement. The human fleet, on the other hand, continued to consolidate their gains. Captain Hart's crew worked diligently to fortify their new positions and exploit the weaknesses left by the Empire's retreat. The humans took advantage of the Empire's temporary withdrawal to strengthen their foothold and prepare for future operations. Despite their success, the humans were mindful of the Empire's potential for a swift counterattack. They remained vigilant and prepared for any unexpected moves by the Empire. The retreat had provided them with an opportunity, but it was clear that the conflict was far from over. The Galactic Empire's retreat marked a significant turning point in the conflict. It was a sign that the humans had managed to disrupt the Empire's plans and gain a strategic advantage. However, the Empire was not defeated. It was regrouping and preparing for a renewed effort. As the human fleet solidified its position, both sides knew that the next phase of the conflict would be crucial. The Empire's retreat had given the humans a chance to advance, but the Empire's regrouping indicated that they would not be easily subdued. The stage was set for a new chapter in the struggle between the Galactic Empire and humanity. The retreat had shifted the balance of power, but both sides were preparing for the next encounter. The conflict was far from over, and the outcome would depend on how each side adapted to the evolving circumstances. The humans had achieved a significant victory, but the Empire's retreat was a reminder that the war was ongoing and full of uncertainties. Both sides were poised for the next engagement, ready to fight for dominance in a conflict that had become a defining struggle of their time. Resolution. The Galactic Empire and the human fleet had been locked in a fierce struggle for months. After a series of intense battles and strategic maneuvers, the conflict had reached a critical point. Both sides had endured heavy losses, and the war had taken a toll on their resources and morale. In the Galactic Empire's new command center, General Rax and Chancellor Voltra were preparing for a final push to resolve the conflict. The Empire's regrouping and strategic adjustments had strengthened their position, but the humans remained a formidable adversary. "We cannot continue this war indefinitely," Chancellor Voltra said, her voice tinged with concern. "The losses on both sides have been severe. It's time to consider a resolution." General Rax nodded in agreement. "We need to find a way to end this conflict on terms that favor the Empire. We must approach the humans with a proposal that addresses our strategic needs while offering them a way out of this war." Meanwhile, Captain Elena Hart of the human fleet was also contemplating the endgame. The humans had managed to hold their ground and make significant advances, but the prolonged conflict had strained their resources. Hart knew that a resolution was needed to secure lasting peace and stability. "We've done well, but we can't keep fighting forever," Hart said to her officers. "We need to find a way to negotiate with the Empire and come to a settlement that ensures our safety and future stability." Both sides began to prepare for diplomatic negotiations. The Galactic Empire and the human fleet agreed to a ceasefire, and representatives from both sides met at a neutral location to discuss terms. The meeting was tense, but there was a mutual recognition that continuing the war would only lead to further destruction. As the negotiations began, the representatives from both sides presented their demands and proposals. The Galactic Empire sought to retain control over certain strategic areas and maintain a presence in the galaxy. The humans, on the other hand, wanted assurances of their security and sovereignty. The discussions were complex and required careful diplomacy. Both sides had to address their concerns and find common ground. The Empire's representatives were determined to secure their strategic interests, while the human delegation was focused on ensuring that their hard-won gains were preserved. After several days of intense negotiations, a resolution began to take shape. The agreement included a mutual withdrawal of forces from contested regions, the establishment of a demilitarized zone, and a framework for ongoing dialogue and cooperation. Both sides agreed to respect each other's territories and work towards building a more stable and peaceful relationship. The resolution was a significant achievement for both sides. The Galactic Empire retained a degree of control over strategic areas, while the humans secured their independence and the preservation of their advancements. The agreement marked the end of the active conflict and set the stage for a new era of coexistence. Captain Hart and General Rax, who had once been adversaries, found themselves in a position of mutual respect. The resolution had come at a cost, but it was a testament to their ability to negotiate and find a path to peace. As the ceasefire took effect, the human fleet began to withdraw from the contested regions, and the Empire's forces began to consolidate their new positions. The demilitarized zone was established, and both sides worked to ensure that the terms of the agreement were implemented. The resolution brought a sense of relief and optimism. The galaxy, which had been marred by conflict and uncertainty, began to look forward to a period of rebuilding and cooperation. The end of the active hostilities allowed for the possibility of a more stable and peaceful future.